honestly, I get very nervous and very anxious about things really easily. And sometimes I don't know if people know that, because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people will always ask me, or they'll be like, oh my gosh, like, you look calm. Like, how do you do that? Oh, you did this. Like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
So just learning how to really keep my emotions in place.
That's Emma Clawson, senior at Shallowater High and committed volleyball player, sharing what she's learned about leadership from the court, the classroom, and even from her little brother. In this conversation, we talk about quiet strength, specific encouragement, and what it really means to trust God with your future. Emma brings a grounded wisdom that's beyond her years. This is a conversation full of heart, perspective, and presence. Let's dive in. All right, welcome back to Leading Lubbock. Today I've got Emma Clawson with me. Emma, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, you're welcome. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm looking forward to just seeing how leadership shows up for you. I mean, and a little bit about you. First off, is you're going to be a senior at Shallowater High School. So exciting. So
Crazy.
One more year. Excited to hear too, kind of like what you're hoping for next steps, and we'll get to that here in a little bit too. Yeah. But tell us a little bit about sports. I know you're into sports right now. So what does that look like for you?
So I'm a very big volleyball player. I actually just committed.
Did you?
I did.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, are you able to say who you committed for? And
I committed to New Mexico State.
Really?
A few days ago, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's
okay.
Not a full scholarship, but I'll be a walk-on, then I'll get to play, and then I'll be on a scholarship.
Fun.
So
okay. So this is fun side stories here. I'm from New Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, from Artesia. And went to New Mexico State. That's like where I didn't go to school there. But FFA, that's like all of our national or state conventions happen there.
Yeah.
Then my sister now works for the 4-H department that is coming off of New Mexico State. My brother-in-law works at New Mexico State University. So I've got a lot of connections, and my wife went to school there for a little bit.
Really?
So yeah, that's exciting.
It's a great school. I'm so excited.
But Las Cruces is pretty. So
yeah.
You're going to love it. Hot, but very pretty. Yeah. It's a different...
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of Lubbock, but
it's dry heat.
It's dry heat. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So, and that's in volleyball.
It's in volleyball.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And then anything else you're playing?
Well, I do track, but I'm just a high jumper for now.
Just a high jumper. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So no pole vaulting or anything like that, right? Just high jump. Okay.
No.
That's awesome. And then you're involved in things at school. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm in student council. I'm the pride and patriotism. So I'll get to organize all the fun little dress up days and things like that. I just love to bring spirit, so I'm excited for that.
Okay. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm in NHS, which is just keeping good grades, keeping a good face.
The National Honor Society there.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool.
Then I'm also involved in FCCLA, and I do leadership. So what I do basically is I have a presentation over some things I do, some things I work for, like strive to be, I guess, in a way. And it's a 10-minute presentation over just being a leader, becoming a leader, what I've done to get there, just things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, fits perfectly in line with what we're talking about today. So what does FCCLA stand for? Do you remember?
I honestly don't even know. It's like fellowship.
Okay, we'll nix that part of this. Yeah. Okay, I didn't ask you that question, so we'll cut and edit. Okay, so in FCCLA, you're doing presentations. Am I understanding that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it mainly like speeches, like one-off speeches? Are you collaborating with other people in the midst of that, or?
Yeah, so kind of what I did in my project was I had to read a book, go through this whole process of just kind of learning, and then I had to take a step back, look at my development and just kind of what I've done. And so then I made like a slide presentation, just kind of showing some things, and then I kind of tried to take some ideas of being a leader and apply it to my life and just kind of
Very
show
cool.
in the presentation. And then, I have to give a 10-minute speech about what I've done, what I've been through. And just,
Man, that's really cool. I feel like those types of things can help frame like what it looks like in the future, because
yeah.
going to college and then making career moves and having to make those types of bigger, high level decisions. I feel like some of these things are really helpful to start thinking in that way. So
Definitely.
good for you to be involved in that. Yeah, absolutely. And tell us about your family too.
So I have my mom is head coach at Ropes recently, basketball coach.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad, he's just a little farmer guy who does his own thing.
Okay.
And then I have a little brother saying he's 8 or he's 9. He had a birthday recently. Okay. He's 9 now.
Yeah.
And he's running all over the place doing everything.
We talked a little bit about before we started that he's 8 years younger than you. Mm-hmm. And I was making the similarity that, I'm also 8 years younger than my sister and then 11 years younger than my brother. So by the time they left high school and went on to college, 9-year-old, right? So from 9 to 17 or 18 at home by myself, and definitely the spoiled younger / only child. Yeah. When everybody else is gone. So
no, he's already like that and I'm still there. So.
It's just going to get worse. Trust me. It's going to get worse. Even if it's not possible, it's possible. Well, cool. Okay. So let's get into leadership a little bit. And just love that you're on a team, because I feel like that shows up a lot, right? Whenever you're, especially in a volleyball where you're in the mix of other people too, not just a solo sport. And then also with FCCLA, honor society, student council, like all these things, I'm sure you see it. And even with an 8-year younger brother, there's probably even some leadership principles in there too. Definitely. So what does being a good leader mean to you? And then how do you think that your view of that's changed as you gotten older?
Yeah, so being a good leader, I think, comes in many different shapes and forms. I mean, you can have different leaders in different areas. That's what kind of I like to think about it, especially on our volleyball team. We have a leader, I always think you have your cheerleader, somebody who's super supportive, and then you have somebody who's calm and collective, and you can always look at to kind of be that person that's just calm and steady. So I think leadership has a lot of words that tie into it, whether it's being supportive, being active, listening, and being adaptive to your teammates as well.
Yeah. So as you're talking about that, I'm hearing roles, right? We all have different roles. And just because, I asked you right before we started too, is there a captain or how does that work? And you said that there's not really a captain of the team, correct? Mm-hmm. And I actually really like that, because I think we all have different responsibilities, especially in a team environment. Yeah. And often I think you have somebody that may rise as a leader, quote unquote leader of the whole team or whatever project's going on. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of importance of just making sure we all understand we're leading in our own ways. Right. You got the person that's the encourager, and then you got somebody else who over here that's strategist and no, this is how we need to execute this thing. Right. And then probably mixes along the way of everybody else. So I'm sure that's what makes a really good team too, is all those different strengths. Yeah,
I definitely think so. It's nice because one game you'll look at one person and they're just smiling and laughing the whole time, and the next game you're in a stressful situation and you look at that person that's more calm and collective and it's hey, we got this, just pick up yourself,
Yeah, that's really cool to think about, different environments, other people's strengths kind of are shown to rise to the top, and hey, we actually need to lean on you right now in the midst of this.
I mean, I don't really like to think of as leader as just, I think that's one thing that's changed over time. You asked that too. Mm-hmm. I used to think that a leader had to be assertive and dominant and just very loud, very vocal. And so I'd always try to be that. But as I got older, I realized that I'm not leading anybody. I'm just being loud. Yeah. Yeah. So
that's great.
I think in order to be a better leader, sometimes you have to lean on those around you, and then you grow together. I mean, that's what your main goal is. So why would you have one person just trying to,
Yeah. Yeah. When you've got somebody that's loud and somebody that's just their presence is known, really you just are moving in a singular direction. Yeah. Right. And usually the way that leader who has the volume is taking you, right? Versus, together we can actually kind of craft our own journey together, right?
Right.
And if we hear and we're able to recognize the voices of those around us, like it's probably going to make the journey a lot better, rather than one person just making all the decisions for everybody else.
Definitely.
So, how is it? I know sports is interesting because as a senior now, you've seen different people you played with on the same team, right? It's not like every year you all return back to the team. You're losing seniors, right? You graduate.
Yeah.
And you're bringing in freshmen or sophomores or juniors, whatever, as people come in. But also, like, you may have people just drop off. Like, they just don't want to play sports anymore.
Yeah.
Or focusing on something else. So how does that look for you to navigate new teams every year? The people that you're playing alongside of, like, there's got to be a level of difficulty in there as new voices enter in, new talent. How do you lead? How do you play together? And
So I think it's nice for me because I get to play club volleyball and then I get to play school volleyball.
Okay.
So, like in club volleyball, I feel like my role was very much being the supportive cheerleader. I was always on the sidelines yelling the loudest, and then when somebody would come off, I always make it my goal to pay really close attention to what everybody does so that when somebody comes off, I can be like, hey, you did this really well.
Wow.
Like, this play, you got that ball up. Like, it was really great. Just to be, like, specific, because I feel like when you're giving a compliment to somebody, this is, like, completely different, sorry, but when you're giving a compliment to somebody, it means more when it's specific to them than just being like, hey, good job. So, like, that's something that I really try to pay attention to in club. And I feel like in school, because I've just been playing longer than some of the girls, and that I've been on varsity for 4 years. Mm-hmm. This will be my 4th year. And so kind of being that person that somebody can, like, lean on, just be like, I'm a little bit more calm, I think. I'm not as loud and just being in people's face screaming, but just kind of to the side, like, being a little calmer and just adaptive. It's definitely a change when I go from one team to a different team, because you can watch and see, I feel like.
Yeah. I bet the dynamic is a lot different. So you talked about being an encourager and this being specific in the way that you encourage people.
Yeah.
Have you noticed too, like, the maybe coaches or people in your life, like, differences that you feel when they're calling out specific things that you did well versus just a general, like, hey, great job out there? Do you feel that?
Definitely. I've been blessed with such amazing coaches and teammates and everything, but, like, I have this one teammate and she'll always, like, yell at me to swing cross or go line, and, like, it's very specific. That's, like, a volleyball term, but, like,
I know nothing about volleyball.
Yeah, she'll be very specific to me, and that's something that always helps me, because it's not like she's just being like, hit the ball. Yeah. And I think it helps the overall performance of the team, because she's always very vocal on what to do. And then same thing with coaches. Like, when I come off and they'll be like, hey, like, you need to fix this. Like, your foot was this way and it needs to come this way. Like, it's instead of just being like, hey, do this.
Yeah, so you got constructive feedback on the actual things that maybe you're doing incorrectly or could do better. And also getting specific encouragement in the things that you're doing well. Right. And you being that for other people. And I'm thinking about life, like the ways that we can make this practical. Like, I'm thinking about my kids in this moment, which is like, man, they're all so different and unique. And it would be so good to start calling them out more often in terms of, hey, you did that thing really well. Right. Or the way that you responded, just being very specific about how they did versus like, man, I'm just so proud of you. You know, you're just such an awesome kid, right? And, like, that's all good, but at the same time, like, making sure that we highlight the things that people do really well. And that can go business, family, sports, all over the place. I think that's such a good lesson. So.
I mean, God created us all differently with different talents, different aspects. And when you're able to see that and when other people are able to let it shine, then it really... When somebody notices it, I think it just makes you feel better. And
right? And it calls you out too, to, I feel like, that specific purpose or like that specific talent and ability in you. Like, if you said, made a compliment to me specifically about something I'm doing, like, I'm probably going to, like, lean into that a little bit more and be like, I want to develop that. Like, if I'm being noticed for excelling in some area of my life. I want to do better, and so I love that. I think it does lift people up and it gives them, even a higher standard to live up to by calling out the thing that they do well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
okay, that's awesome. So how about ways that leadership shows up in your daily life? And this could be like things that you even do specifically to become a better leader. Like, do you have any habits or rhythms?
Yeah, so I mean, my little brother, he's, like I said, running around crazy, but he's so little. Like, he's 9 years old, but he's taught me so much about leadership. Like, time management is one thing that I've noticed. That's a very important part to think about. Just becoming a leader, because you have to know where you're going and learn how to do things. And he's definitely having to drive him to practice, and go to my own practice and pick him up from practice.
Yeah.
But he's showed me more than just that, being supportive. He showed me listening and just paying attention to detail. So he's part of my everyday life.
Yeah.
I guess.
How neat. Okay, so you're like you're taking him and picking him up, and you're kind of like a third parent in a way of like just making sure he gets taken care of. And I'm having some flashbacks here with my sister and I, as we were, because same thing, like older sister, younger brother. And I just remember times like, she was my chauffeur at a lot of places. So she would take me to places I need to be. She was my babysitter whenever it was midsummer and parents are working, like she's taking care of me. But also like remember the connections that we had of like, end of the day, I'm going into her room and she's like venting to me about like even her life, right? And I'm just over here like 8 or 9 year old, like, oh yeah, wow, like that's crazy, clueless to what's really going on. But I feel like it's such a cool one that I get to relate to you on that level with the brother who's 8 years younger than you. But also I just feel like there really is a cool bond between a sister and a brother, like that age gap. So is that kind of true to you guys? Do you feel like you've got that?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, on air it's kind of hard. Like he listens to it and you're like, no, I can't stand it. Well, I'm sure you guys have a really special relationship. That's cool. Okay, so what important moment, like, is there something in your life that's happened that's shaped who you are today, like that's made an impact on you?
Yeah, so my freshman year I was at Idalou, and I decided to move to Shallowater my sophomore year. And going in, I was so scared. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I had heard that the girls were so mean and like they were and I was so scared. But when I walked in, those girls were so accepting. They have truly led me to the person I am today. They have had a huge development on my growth with Christ and just walking with the Lord. I mean, they've showed me, really before, I've always been a Christian. Like, I've been blessed to grow up in a Christian household. And when I moved, they kind of just taught me more about sharing and being open to being a Christian in a way. And that's just truly helped me to develop and become the best I can be. And I'm still working on it. So
yeah. So what specific ways does that challenge you? Or is you're like making a move and you're thinking about like the way you show up for other people, like internally, what happens in you experiencing that?
It can be hard, like just getting down on yourself, like all the what ifs and maybes. But I think the challenge is like you just have to pray about it, give it all to God, and He'll help you face those challenges like head on. And you might be scared at first, but going into it, you'll really learn. And in the end, like I always think something like happens, like you always think something bad's gonna happen, and then God's like, oh, it's good, it's positive. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. And then how about ways like you're the encourager and finding things and ways to highlight people's strengths? What does it look like now that you see somebody walk in, maybe a transfer or maybe somebody who's just new to the team, new to the circle? What does it look like for you knowing what it's like on the side of walking in?
Yeah, so I actually have an experience with this. So we had a younger girl. So when you play club teams, you play like with your age group. And we had a younger girl come all the way from Amarillo to Lubbock to play with us. Wow. And you could tell she was a little nervous. She'd never played with us before, never done anything. And so I'd kind of tried to have a conversation with her like before practice and just be like, just to kind of calm her nerves, When you have somebody there just like able to talk to you and relate to you, it really helps to calm you down, not make you so nervous. It's like, okay, like somebody relates to me, and I have a friend now, so I know it's all gonna be okay in the end. And she did so great. Like, she's such an amazing person and player, and like when she came in, it was exciting to see a new face and like just help her feel comfortable, and eventually she was just like us.
Yeah, that's so good, because I've also recently talked to a coach. He was telling me about like what it's like to coach different people who are changing often, right? And that it's so important to find people who mesh well with the team, like probably more so than talent. Is finding somebody like who's a culture fit, because it's really the playing together that strengthens the team, not necessarily the one spotlighted individual, the one, superstar.
Yeah.
And so just the importance of the team working together to have inclusion, to have people feel like they're at home and can play as a team is so vital. Like even that leadership of like just walking side by side with somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you see that a lot, and
yeah.
probably see the results when somebody's jiving with the team versus somebody's not really hit it off or kind of clashing potentially with people.
Yeah.
Like there may be.
I mean,
Okay. So I want to kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about adults, but as you're being led by other people and thinking about maybe just open your mind up a little bit here to think about other coaches, maybe teachers, maybe mentors, just people around you. What encouragement would you give to adults to lead at their highest level?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been very blessed with great coaches, and one of the things that I've noticed that they've done very well is just listening and being open. They're very like acceptive and adaptive to your time, the things going on in your life, and I think that's really important to me, because I mean, I've also been in experiences where I've had a coach who was like didn't want to listen to anything I said, didn't want to like my ideals and like my opinions were not important. And so when you are able to enter an environment with somebody who listens and like really like cooperates with you and just your ideas and morals, it's nice. And
yeah, for sure. I wonder too, like I'm just thinking back in my childhood, or as I've even in college, getting into the workforce, and like my ideas and views of how I was being led, and of course I've had a lot of experiences just in different environments and in all of those very unique leaders that were speaking into my life, but I just know the ones that were very stern in their view and just like directional. We're not going to make any modifications. Like it's hard to be a follower. It's hard to get on board with the vision, with the ideas of like the where the coach is going, or where the business owner is going, or the parent is going. Like I've had all of these situations, and yet I'm trying to think about this too, like as a business owner and a dad, like how can I be more open-minded to let's listen to everybody else. Yeah. Let's actually take that and maybe allow that to change directions of our company or of our family. Right. I think too, I have a lot of conversations with people, fortunately, about leadership and teams and growth. And one of the guys that I talked to recently talks about like every time he brings somebody on, the business is no longer the same. Like it's not the same business anymore, because we have a new personality and we have a new, like, so it's always molding and changing, and it should. Like we should never just stay who we are 100% regardless of who's inside the room. Yeah. And I think same thing with the team, same thing with a family, of like, anytime we add somebody or anytime somebody moves away, or, the family should be, or the business should be just a slightly bit different, you know, because of all the different personalities and inputs that go into it. So, I mean,
it's the same thing with like, we're all created in our own ways. We all have our own things. And so I think really listening is just like something that I think isn't really talked about enough in like terms of really listening. Cause I mean, you can listen, but are you really listening? And so just making sure that you really hear what people are saying and accepting what they, like how they are and what they think.
So tell me a little bit more about that, like the listening versus really listening. Like what would be some of the differences that you would pick up if you were really listening versus just...
So I think one of the things, like I said, that's one of the things I've really worked on is just being adaptive. I used to think, I had to be so loud and just assertive, but really listening to me was like really taking the time to have an open conversation with somebody instead of just being like, hey, what do you think we need to do here? But really like sitting down and like being like, hey, I noticed this, like just putting out the specifics. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. But like, say like with my little brother, like I could say like, hey, like I noticed in practice you had a little sad like moment where you were just like down or something, like what was up with that? And then he could say something, and instead of being like he could say, oh yeah, some kid was being mean, I could just be like, oh, like just to ignore that or do this. But I could really like listen and more to really solve the problem. It's kind of like putting a band-aid over a bullet wound, I think, when you're not really listening in.
Yeah, so you're kind of hearing more underneath the surface, right?
Yeah.
And probably more heart level things that come up of the whys behind what was making somebody do what they're doing, rather than just saying, oh, you should try this. Yeah, it'll be better if you just do this thing.
I hope I explained that well. I don't know if
I think so. I mean, I do think there's a huge difference between listening and listening intentionally, right? And seeking to understand, maybe, because sometimes listening maybe even means asking more questions. Like, instead of settling with the first question and being done, like, this is probably a 2 or 3 part question, and let's keep it diving a little bit deeper and deeper. And I think that's when we show we're listening more, is probably the engagement side of things.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you see that in like teams too, like sports teams. Like, I mean, that's like sports teams. It's more like you're running a play or something, and you can really go in depth with that. But just really laying your focus on something is important to me.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, so how about careers? What's next for you? Careers or fields that you're interested in?
Yeah.
So New Mexico State is now where you're heading.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go play volleyball there. I'm super excited for that. I'm deciding I want to go into the medical field.
Okay.
I'm trying to decide if I want to be a physician's assistant or a physical therapist. Which are
cool. Man, such a valuable direction to go regardless. I mean, I think that the body science is fascinating. So what would be the plan as you enter in college, of like kind of the focus that you want to go as you dive into that?
So if I want to be a physical therapist, I'm going to go into kinesiology and then kind of just bounce off from there. And then if I'm a physician's assistant, I'll just get a major in PA and go from that.
Awesome. So how do you feel like wrapping up the last year of high school, as you're kind of tweaking all this and you know where you're going to school? How do you feel entering in your senior year?
Oh, nervous.
Yeah.
I'm excited though. It's going to be good. I have lots of great friends, lots of good people around me. Like I said, good Christian girls and boys in our grade too. We're going to have a good year, I think. It's exciting, nerve-wracking.
How does the family feel? Like, you're moving several hours away. It's not just it's not a quick trip. So
my parents are excited my mom's excited that I'm going to go play volleyball. My dad loves New Mexico, Las Cruces, so he's excited that he gets to go to New Mexico and visit. So
and I'm sure they'll be there.
Yeah.
A few times. I remember making that trip a lot. Oh, okay. Well, anything like hobby-wise you're into besides sports? I'm sure that keeps you extremely busy.
So this is kind of funny though, but my hobby is pretty much volleyball. I mean, I go play sand volleyball with my friend on the weekends. Like, I don't find my identity in volleyball, but I find my passion and love in volleyball.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's taught me everything I feel like I know today. And it's really cool. Just such a big part of me.
Yeah. So the circle of friends that you're hanging out with too, are we talking like mainly volleyball circles as well?
I think a lot of my friends have come from volleyball, but one of my really close friends, she's our pastor's daughter, and we've been friends since we were little, and then we ended up being on the same club team and playing volleyball together, so
That's awesome.
that's kind of been our thing.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say it's so easy to have friendships when there's so much similarity and a passion. So that's fun. That's
Yeah.
a fun thing to do. Well, what are you learning right now? Like, what do you feel like is something that's valuable that you're just absorbing, whether it's in a book or a podcast or life? You know, are there any lessons that you're currently in the midst of?
Yeah, so I get very nervous and very anxious about things really
Okay.
easily. And sometimes I don't know if people know that because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people will always ask me, or they'll be like, oh my gosh, like, you look calm. Like, how do you do that? Oh, you did this. Like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
So just learning how to really keep my emotions in place and find my Christian values in it and just know that like God, like trusting God's plan has been my biggest motto, I guess you could say at the moment. Like just letting him take care of my nerves and everything to just really guide me down the path I want to go.
So when things go sideways a little bit, like that's when you're kind of clinging to this, like, okay, I don't know what God's plans are right now, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna, in the midst of the anxiousness, in the midst of
Yeah.
kind of the internal chaos, like having this trust in
Mm-hmm.
the Lord and His plans for you.
Definitely. Yeah.
And that's great.
That's like the thing with the recruiting process. Any athlete who's going through the recruiting process knows that it is so hard and it takes so much off of you. Like just the whole hearing no's, you hear lots of negativity and there's lots of things that go into it. And I've never really gotten to talk about this before, so this is exciting for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I was like going through that and when I had gone to Las Cruces and gone to New Mexico State, I just fell in love and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to play here so
Really?
bad.
Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome. That's awesome.
So like really getting to go through that process with them, I was really nervous because I was like, what happens if they don't offer me? What happens if I don't get to go there? What happens if I can't even be a walk-on? What happens? And it was just like a lot of what ifs, like questioning. And I remember just like sitting on the car ride back to Lubbock and I was like just looking in the sky out my window, having my moment. And I was like, just trust God. Like he has a plan and whatever he does, no matter the outcome, it's what he wanted. And that's how it's going to be. So
Yeah. And which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Like any season of life to let go of all the what ifs and just sit in peace and a stillness,
yeah.
calm, trust. Do you feel, so you mentioned people don't really recognize that you're maybe anxious about something in particular. Like you look really calm on the outside. Is that a newer thing? Like, have you always been that way? Or is this, yeah,
Yeah, I've pretty much always been
really?
a little jittery. And
Okay.
it's like, even just like in regular day, like somebody will come up and scare me and I'll always say, like always, like you can scare me so easily. I'm just always on my toes, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's just been learning and it's gotten better, I think.
Yeah.
Just,
How about on the outside? Like the way that people perceive you in the midst of that. Has that always been like, oh, you seem calm, but you're anxious inside? Or is that like a growth thing where you feel like that's becoming more of a regular?
This is actually a conversation I had with my dad recently. He thinks it's so funny because my freshman year, I was put on varsity and like the first game that I got to go out and play, I still remember, and I was sitting there and you could like visibly see me like shaking. I was so scared. And like my dad was like, just seeing you go from that to then playing with like D1 college girls. He's like, you look so calm. He's like,
Wow.
what? How'd you do that? And I was like, I was freaking out, but it's good that I know how to do it.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, well, I'm sure that has a lot to do with as you mature and as you're growing and like knowing where you put your trust and the
Yeah.
hope and the, changes, because it's not all on you on that point.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I've put it all out there, and then whatever happens if New Mexico State calls me back,
Yeah.
then.
It's
Well, that's an amazing lesson, because it's not going to be the last time that you need it. I mean,
no.
and you're going to probably keep growing in that time and time again. I still, I'm a very anxious person myself, and try to try to listen to truths that actually help me rather than lies or what ifs or speculation storytelling. That I'm really good at creating the worst case scenario. Like I can, somebody says, hey, I need to have a conversation with you later today. I can give you a good storyline about what that's going to be about. And I'll walk in and they're like, hey, just wanted to see how you're doing. And like, oh, I thought you were going to drop something on me. So yeah, I get that. But that trust comes with time and comes with a lot of patience and practice. Definitely. So I love that. Well, I want to like wrap up with just a general, like, I think we heard a lot of it throughout the process of us talking today, but like, what is leadership if you had to define it in one sentence? How would you sum all that up?
So, gosh, I think leadership defined in one sentence would just be trusting the process, trusting the people around you, and listening to those people, and just taking it all in to grow, not just individually, but together, and really just, this isn't one sentence, sorry.
It's one long sentence. Yeah. I'll take it.
Like using other people to trust your process and grow together.
Yeah. So hearing a lot of trust in there. I heard processes, people, and listening. Like, and you kind of repeated those same things as we like. No. This is a good thing. Like throughout the whole conversation that we had, like you kind of had these themes about you, which I love. It's one of my favorite things about doing this and sitting on this side of the table is I get to hear the hearts of the people that I'm talking to, because a lot of times by the time you get to the end, it's like, yeah, you've said trust and you said listening and you said, and there was another one in there. Oh my goodness, it just left me. But you kind of created this theme, and I love one of the things, encouragement. One of the things that you said the most was encouraging people and listening to them really well. And I think that's how we know how to even encourage people is by taking an active role. I don't think that you can call somebody out in their strengths when they come off of the court if you were, watching the stands or looking at the scoreboard the whole time, or you're in your head even, like, and because I can be having a conversation with you but be completely somewhere else, right? Even though I'm looking at you, even though we're talking to each other, and yet I can really call out strengths and I can call out things I see if I'm like really engaged in our conversation. And I think the court's the same way. Like you're sitting on the bench or you're even playing side by side and like, no, I'm watching what you're doing. And then I'm telling you, great job. Or, hey, let me give you some constructive feedback. So I think there's a lot intermingled of what you talked about. Listening can also just be like truly seeing too, like taking that in. And so you can come back and encourage, build trust, so it's all connected.
I like that.
It's all connected, and I think that you're doing it really well. I'm excited to see that you're moving on to college sports, and I'm sure there's gonna be lessons packed in there for you, hard and great lessons, but you're probably just gonna keep growing and growing, and can't wait to see where you go from here.
Thank you.
It's gonna be really neat. And maybe PA, maybe physical therapist. If you're anything like me, maybe something completely different. Like I thought for me, it was architecture.
Really?
I went to school for that and then ended up going to pre-med. Yeah, you're good. We'll go back a little bit. All right. So I'm excited to see where you're going to go, physical therapy route or PA. If you're anything like me, I went all over the place. So I was architecture, then pre-med, and then real estate. Well, went into other cells and then real estate. So that's also okay too. Like I'm all about like start a journey, and that may be where you end up, and that's amazing. It could also be, we went somewhere completely different. But as long as we're trusting the plan, trusting the process, we'll be all right. So
definitely.
Well, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. I think it was a lot of fun to get to know you, to hear your vantage point, your perspective on like what does it look like right now, leadership, and senior that's coming up. So you will be the leader of the school. Like you're in that group now. So a lot of good things ahead even this year. Enjoy your senior year. Like
Thank you.
It's the highlight. It is the highlight of all of high school. So enjoy it. And thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
You bet. You bet.